All right, so with this one, number 8, if you notice they all have an x in common, right? So the first thing you can do is just get the x out. So x times x squared plus 8x plus 20. This x, that's one of our factors. So remember, we're looking for 3. We're always looking for the amount of solutions that equals the degree. So I got one solution already. I got x equals 0. Anytime you get just an x on the outside, the solution for that is 0. So we need 2 more. And it's from this. It's a quadratic. So once you get it to a quadratic, your options are either factoring, quadratic formula, or completing the square. And then sometimes, this is technically a quadratic too. So if it's just 2 terms, a binomial, and like a squared term and a constant, you can use this method too, the square root method. But here we have a trinomial. There's nothing that I could think of that multiplies to 20 that will add up to 8. Maybe if this was like a negative 20, then we could have used 10 and 2. But, positive 20, this won't factor. So you got to use either quadratic formula or completing the square. I'm going to use completing the square again just to kind of show you guys another example of completing the square, because I feel like if you can get used to it and get comfortable with it, it's easier than the quadratic formula in my opinion. So we get x squared plus 8x plus 20. I'm going to set that equal to 0. You got to move the constant over here, and it's going to be x squared plus 8x equals negative 20. So the number I'm going to put here, I left that space. I'm going to take half of 8, square it, and that's what goes here. So half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So I'm going to put a plus 16 here. Now this is an equation, so you got to kind of keep it balanced. I can't just introduce a 16 on this side and not on this side too. So I'm going to do a plus 16 here to kind of keep the equation balanced. This is x plus 4 squared. This is that perfect square trinomial. The whole thing we're doing here is to create that perfect square trinomial, where if you were to factor it, it's x plus 4 times x plus 4, or x plus 4 squared. And that equals negative 4. Square root both sides. This cancels, and you get x plus 4. Square root of negative 4, it's in a negative, so it's an imaginary number, so it's going to be plus or minus 2 square root of 4, and then I, which is because it's a negative. And then our last step is just move the 4 over here, and you get x equals negative 4 plus or minus 2i. Those are your last 2 solutions. Negative 4 plus 2i, negative 4 minus 2i. And again, you could have used quadratic formula to get these same values, but there would have been more simplification involved, more than likely. The nice part about these ones with this when you see an even b value and no coefficient, it's way easier to solve those with completing the square than the quadratic formula, I think. You just got to get used to the process, and it works pretty nicely when you get down here to your last 2. All right?